So I just got done watching the video, which is about 7 children, and the PBS did a special following these 7 children for about 6 years, from 2003 to 2009, about their education and following them through their elementary school process. It was a very interesting video to see how different countries portray education. I saw that through some of the people in there, you can see some countries are on board with the UN's goals of trying to give everybody a free primary education and trying to educate their countries. And you can see some that are not. There was one girl in particular that was interesting, was following the one in India. I forgot her name, but she tried going, and she was older when she was going to school and kind of felt left out with her friends, and then also she was she felt awkward being in the class with younger children. And then as they were kind of following her through the years, she eventually saw India ended up having a drought where she was in India, and her parents had to move for about 6 months. And since that happened, it took her out of the routine of school, and she ended up being just dropping out of school. So this happened quite a bit, I think, in India. Another girl was in Afghanistan, where she had to worry about being killed by terrorists, where education for women there is not sought as a priority. Women are to be in the home, do the chores, pretty much be the slaves for the men, while the men went out and played and the boys played. The girls were trying to obtain an education and also take care of the home and do all the household chores. That girl, she was able to do very well. She was learning English and was speaking English. Another country, there was a boy named Jefferson in Brazil. He was doing very well with his education and trying to obtain obtaining his education, and he was exceeding, and so they bumped him up in a grade. But then they had the dilemma of they were afraid, since he was young, he would be influenced by the older boys in middle school, so they decided to hold him back. But also people saw that holding him back would also could have bad consequences as well. He also he wanted to become a soccer player. It was very interesting to see what these children, when they were starting school, what they wanted it to be, and then when they would talk to him 6 years later, how their career goals have changed, since from being, oh, I just want to be a soccer player, or I just want to be something of vanity, they ended up wanting to be something of worth. They wanted to help out others. They wanted to teach, or they wanted to help out other people in their countries or their cities. The thing that was interesting with Brazil is they paid all their poor. The government gave all the poor people money to subsidize so that their children would go to school. And it was very interesting to see how what the country did to help with education was very vital, but also yet how if they received money, but also what the parents thought. The girl in Afghanistan, her parents didn't really, especially her mom, didn't see education as a vital importance. the in Jefferson's case in Brazil, his mom wanted him to be successful in his education. There now the child in Japan, Ken, he came from a very well-to-do family. Now Ken, he came from a very well-to-do family in Japan, where education was a priority, where they just scaled back from teaching on Saturdays, and they were kind of seeing the effects of that and what that did to the children in Japan. Ken came from a family. His father was an engineer. His mom was educated. I think she was a teacher. Just how the difference, how the country is a thriving country, a very successful country, higher in the GDP compared to India, Afghanistan, some of these other countries in Africa, where education is vital, almost to the point of it's forced upon the children. Um, it's very interesting to see how they succeed, but now they're also kind of seeing how some of the Japanese children are kind of regressing, where they're not being as engaging in the education. I think that's how the United States is, where education is not as valued as it used to be. Now, Ken did very well in his education. He graduated. It was interesting to watch his sixth grade graduation. It seemed very formal, but the Japanese people are that way. It was very interesting to see how what the parents thought and saw important is what the children saw as important, and also how you can still be successful no matter your circumstances of what you grow up in. It's just applying yourself and changing the mold and changing the routine is what I got from the video. And also how as long as you put in the hard work like Jefferson and some of these other children did, that you can break that mold and you can still become educated. But it also depends on the country that you live in. They need to play a role. And after watching this video, I saw the importance of education for everybody in the U.S. or everybody in the world, but also that everybody needs to have this gift of being educated and being able to apply themselves instead of just. It really changed my point of view from being, oh, they're not near me or I don't need to worry about them. But it changed. Everyone needs to have that opportunity to be able to read and write and be able to communicate effectively with others. And I thought this video was very good. And it was a good assignment.